come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India at home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And I'm joined today by the regular crew, Ashoka, who is at ABVan on Twitter, Mahesh, who is at Cornered on Twitter, and Kartikeya, who is at Cricketing View. We are actually recording this about 20 to 25 minutes after India have won the first test against Australia in Nagpur, the first test of the ongoing Border Gavaskar Trophy. And an absolutely comprehensive win. No two ways about that. Fantastic bowling performance in both innings and batted to get 400 runs. So after all the talk of the pitch and the selective watering and targeting the left-handers and this and that, basically was a rout at the end of the day. So we'll talk about the various aspects of the test, big picture, overall, everything. My big picture takeaway here is like how absolutely scary it is to with this Indian bowling attack in these kind of conditions. This particular pitch and the conditions were just perfectly suited to them. You had two extremely good pacers on this wicket. You had Jadeja and Ashwin, all-time greats, and you had Aksar, who is perhaps, as we have discussed, is made in a lab for bowling in these kind of conditions. So it's you can. I'm sure there will be people who will blame the Australian batsmen, and there will be postmortems, etc. But at the end of the day, it is relentless. There is hardly any loose ball, hardly any ball to get away with easily per over. It's hard, and you realized how hard it is. Even that small partnership in the first morning between Manas and Steve Smith. You just watched that and you realized how much went into them putting together that partnership. It was almost like you could feel the effort and the concentration and the intensity that partnership came with. And it just tells you, you look at the past 5 years and, very, very few sets of batsmen have actually had like sizable partnerships against India. The Dean Elgar, De Kock partnership comes to mind. There was this partnership between Joe Root and Sibley in Chennai, but very, very few. It's not as if batsmen are piling on 100, 150 plus run partnerships here, and it didn't happen. So anyway, quick reminder before I start about the two books we published, and I especially want to plug Cricket Beyond the Bazaar because, many of you watching the India-Australia series may not be really that aware of the history of India-Australia series pre-1990. And Cricket Beyond the Bazaar by Mike Coward is a classic in this regard. And it talks about, so much, right from the 1930s on to the 50s and 60s, and then the 70s and 80s. It's a remarkable book, covers the tight test in detail, covers Australia's 1987 World Cup victory in detail. So you should pick it up. Quite a few people have been reading it as a build-up to this series, so you may enjoy it. Anyway, Mahesh, big picture, thoughts, whatever, impressions.
No, this test turned out to be pretty much how we anticipated, so long as the big caveat of what if this Indian team is aging together and, at some stage they'll reach the post-peak phase. But based on early evidence, they're not there yet, and it doesn't look like they're going to get there anytime soon. The bowling attack was relentless. Even when Shami and Siraj were bowling, even before Ashwin and Akshar and Jadeja came into bowl in the first innings, you could clearly see the difference. Even on a wicket which, there was so much talk about being doctored to favor a particular spinner against particular type of batsman and so on. The difference in class on bowling on these wickets was very evident even when in the first 10 overs when Shami and Siraj were bowling. And in fact, in the second spell that Shami bowled, he was bowling so straight to Smith. And he was just bowling straight and he was bowling dry. but even that was so penetrative. So, it is not just the fact that we have this extraordinary spin twins, which are perhaps the rarest of rarity in cricket in history, because they also bat bloody well. But there's just no place to hide when you have a bowling attack like this. And about the batting, we did speak, right? I mean, the Australia could have had a decent chance if I'm not flying the Rohit flag here, but Australia had a pretty decent chance if, let's say, they got Rohit out cheaply, because KL Rahul has not been in the greatest of form in the last 25, 30 tests. Kohli has been suspect since COVID, post-COVID. Pujara was dropped once and came back. Of course, he came back pretty well. But I'm just saying that there's enough vulnerability in that top order that if they got Rohit out early, they could have perhaps had a bit of at least, if they got 5 wickets out for cheap, even if the lower order contributed, they wouldn't have been able to contribute as much. And perhaps you could have had a match, but Rohit kind of killed any chance of that. He batted beautifully. And it's a pattern that we've been seeing. We saw it in England, in Oval. We saw it in the Chennai test against England, the second one, that when he sees a wicket in which he feels like he can play his strokes, you can pretty much see it from the first over. He was so comfortable, playing his shots, and he had a very good idea of, which balls to hit and which balls to leave. Even when he was playing the pull shot, there were a couple of moments. There was particularly one moment where it felt like he was going for it on impulse. But it was a full-blooded pull, not like the helping, it on the way kind of pull. And the one that he did, in fact, he rolled his wrist over and hit it along the ground. I was a bit nervous about him playing Nathan Lyon, but he was able to milk him for the longest stretch of time, and he was not tempted to go for the big shot. So I think Rohit's innings was kind of shut the door, if at all there was a possibility of Australia coming back into the test. But and Jadeja, you can't talk enough of Jadeja. There is, he was coming back from an injury. We talked about it. Even though he played the Ranji Trophy and so on, there was still some sort of doubts about how well he can come back. But it was so emphatic, and the talk was so much about the Australian left-handers and the off spin. It was almost an insult to not talk about Jadeja, and so it proved.
No, I will bring Ashoka and KD in a bit. But now that you brought up Rohit, one of the things that strikes me, in watching him bat, especially in India, I mean, of course, we have seen him outside and things. First of all, Australia's hardly seen much of Rohit. I mean, the Australian test team. I mean, of course, ODIs, and that is all a different format. But I didn't realize how little he had played against Australia, both home and away. So that is number one. But number two, like you talked about England, right? That 160, that innings against England and this, and generally seeing him even against South Africa, against Rabada, that lineup that he played, that had a phenomenal series. I'm struggling to think of a batsman other than Sachin who gauges in the conditions so quickly and so well and is able to execute like so brilliantly. I mean, it's not like he plays the same way in every innings. It's not, there were certain, like I would say, like a VVS Lakshman for the early part of his career. Forget the second half when he developed a different kind of avatar. But there were certain batsmen who would play irrespective, they would just play. But Rohit just figures it out so quickly, and he's able to mold his game so perfectly to it.
And to have the confidence, I mean, see, even Sachin, for instance, right? He takes a bit of time to settle down before he plays the shots that he wants to play on a particular wicket based on his judgment. But Rohit is quite obvious, even from like first or second over itself, the way he goes for his shots. It happened in Oval as well. Like he was going for his shots right away, even though for much of that series he was, he was playing very circumspect early on. And the Chennai Test was again a classic example. But unlike the Chennai Test, probably the one big point of difference was that in Chennai Test, he had opposition spinners who didn't have great control over their line and left. But here, they bowled pretty tight. Both Murphy and Lyon, particularly Murphy, bowled pretty tight. And he had the right pace for India. And straight away, they started sort of bowling from around the wicket because they didn't want to give him much room. And so I would like to believe that there's although Chennai pitch was a lot harder to play, this one was not as hard to bat against. But given the relatively better quality of bowling, this one would have been harder. KD is going to argue and argue correctly that he was also helped by a reasonably poor spell from Cummins early on, and then he's going to have his own justification about the fact that he was attacking and so on. But I think Cummins certainly helped by not by straying quite a bit on the first inning.
Okay, so Ashoka, I know you are extremely tense about where the third test match is going to be held, but okay, let us first talk about the first test match.
All that later, but I think it's tough to beat India in India, man. And if you're going to do it with one bowler shot, it is not. It is. I mean, you're already on the back foot. And as you said in the intro, Ashwin, Jadeja, Aksar, Shami, Siraj, Umesh waiting, Kuldeep waiting, not
Bumrah
happening.
injured.
Bumrah, even without Bumrah, this is all this conversation without Bumrah. It's not going to happen. I mean, you have to really bring quality bowlers, or hope that you get one of those Kanpur type pitches, which New Zealand got to, halt this juggernaut. Otherwise, it's not happening. And Conrad talked about Smith and Labuschagne on day one. They batted exceptionally well. Actually, I mean, it might just be a 70-run partnership, but I was like, God, these guys were so sure when to go, forward and when to stay back. And that was just batting of highest quality. But, India responded with bowling of equal caliber. Like that ball from Jadeja, amazing bowling to dismiss both Labuschagne and Smith. I'd say Labuschagne dismissal was like amazing. And after that, when you saw Alex Carey, blindly going for reverse sweeps, this is going only one way. And one other thing, like to emphasize that Australia were a bowler short. Australia were 162 for 5 or 61 for 5. India were 168 for 5. So at that point in time, it was like very even. But just that India have, Akshar and Jadeja batting down. And while Australians are batting, India have the 3 spinners and the 2 pacers. So the threat is there constantly. So it's just the lack of depth in bowling, and India's added depth in batting. I mean, I don't think this was that demoralizing a defeat for Australia. They must have come expecting this. And I also don't know how they're going to come back also. Because what I saw was that Lyon is kind of struggling to, from around the wicket. I don't think it's working for him. I was tweeting this also. He bowled way too fuller. Like he gave lot of, very full balls to Rohit and Rahul and Ashwin when India were batting. So if he does that and they have no fallbacks, there is no fallback. I mean, Todd Murphy got them wickets, but if Todd Murphy had shown, all his experience of 8 first-class matches, Australia would have been in even terribler position.
Yeah, I mean, Todd Murphy bowled well because, so you play so few first-class matches, you play a test debut in India. With all that goes into touring a place like India with a pretty low score, it was a fantastic bowling.
No, even without context, from around the wicket, he kept the ball, threatening the stumps. That was what Lyon was struggling to do. Just because Lyon gets a little bit more spin, it moves outside leg stump. Murphy was threatening the stump even with that angle. And for a guy who has just played 8 first-class matches, this is like lovely control. I mean, they have actually got a good talent here.
Yeah, Kartikeya, finally, after you have come in pretty late, but go for it. Big picture thoughts, anything? Hello?
I think Kartikeya is observing 2 minutes silence.
for Cummins,
for better than McGrath. Yeah. I'm not calling him Pat Cummins ever. I'm calling him Mr. Better than McGrath.
Well, what is there to be said? I mean, 10 Indians scored 280 runs and then bowled Australia out twice for 268. So they already beat Australia by innings and 12 runs. This Rohit Sharma unnecessarily delayed proceedings by making.
So you're saying Rohit Sharma is irrelevant? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, unnecessary 120 he made. Just totally Faltu mein he wasted everybody's time. Is that this should have been over yesterday only without those.
We would have done this podcast yesterday only.
I know, without all this time pass. But he's like, he's like that. He's the typical Borivali Bradman. It's his bat, so he goes in first and then he makes runs, and like nobody else can do anything about it. He's useless fellow.
Borivali Bradman is a good name. Is that your coinage or Mahesh's coinage?
Yeah. No. That is so.
KD's coinage.
Okay, that is a fantastic name for Rohit Sharma. Borivali Bradman. Love it.
No, after he named that, I realized the other Bradman is also Bowral Bradman, like there's BB. Today we're talking about Shea Hope. I was calling him Barbadian Bradman. So BB kind of works for all Bradmans.
No. Barbadian can't. It's too big. It's too big a location. You have to go a little more niche, like Bowral and Borivali.
No. But isn't Barbados like same as Borivali?
Yeah, probably. Size-wise, probably. Yeah, you never know.
Sai Baba is judging all of you, man. Virar Bradman, Prithvi Shah, you guys are not giving him chance.
No, but I'll tell you what. How KDized I've become. I've become so KDized that on the first morning of this test match, I took a pen and paper, and whichever India bowler was bowling, I was noting down how many chances each one is actually generating. Okay, but through that process, I realized how Jadeja was just bowling at a different level that morning. I mean, he could have got like 8 wickets within like his first 6 overs. I mean, 6 or 8 overs, whatever. I mean, that is the amount of chances that he's creating. That is the amount of he's beating the edge, both the edges, the inside and the outside edge. He's mixing up his pace, and he just refuses to not be on the stump. So every time the batters have to play, there is no question of leaving. There is no question of anything. I mean, it was a remarkable spell.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, he rarely misses his length, So that's basically that makes it really hard. Like anytime you see like the batsmen have to take a chance to hit it, So that's why, I mean, this Alex Carey is perfect. Like he's the most clear example. He's decided that, he's not even going to try to defend. First ball, he plays a sweep. Second ball, he plays a sweep. Third ball, he plays a reverse sweep.
But I think he's being a bit random about it. I don't know if he's actually being calculated about it. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, I think the theory is that if he does that, and if it comes off, if he gets away with it, then at least he will force the bowlers to do a little bit something else, which is what he wants, because I don't think they can survive if they let the bowlers basically keep attacking the stumps. This is where, the quality of India's bowling really comes to the fore, because Australia didn't have any runs to play with in this match. When you're bowled out for 177, you have to basically make the first new ball count and, get the opposition 100 for 5, and then you have a chance. But otherwise, once you start having to defend runs, then you are in trouble. And Australia had that double problem that not only had they bowled out cheaply, but they also played only 4 bowlers. And then one of them was a debutant, and the other is Boland is first time he's playing outside Australia. And this wicket really didn't have much for Boland or any of the fast bowlers, frankly.
Yeah, he bowled well. He bowled quite well.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought kept it very tight.
Yeah, I mean, they had to have someone go for broke, and they tried that with Cummins, and it didn't work. That basically that was it. And then what they needed is that every time Nathan Lyon beat the bat, he got the edge. If that happened, like it actually, ironically, just exactly like it did for them with Steve O'Keefe in Pune in 2017. If that had happened, they would have been in the game, but they weren't. And then by the time it got to 70, 80 overs, they just, there was too much batting and too little bowling left. And it was very late in the day, and the wicket also slowed a lot as the match got older. And I was surprised by the 91 all out, frankly. But I mean these guys are just like they're they can hit a good length and hit the top of off stump at will. I mean, these Ashwin and Jadeja, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to. I mean, you have to be like Steve Smith, where you're reading the length so well that it takes a Jaffa to get you out. I mean, most batsmen are not going to do that. Like not do that endlessly. At some point they'll make a mistake. I mean, I really think that actually against Ashwin and Jadeja in India, baseball is not the worst idea. You might as well try.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think had India been bowled out for 177, and then you had the Alex Carey approach, then India might have not been able to, actually set the fields and put the pressure, and then they would have had to start spreading the field and all. That is fine. But, when you have 400 on the board and when you're leading by 200 plus, I mean, Alex Carey will play what? He'll play 5 sweeps, 10 sweeps. Then eventually, and he's also not like some great sweeper or something. I mean, he's okay. He's good, but he's also going to miss. No, he's also like doing some randomness at some point. So, yeah.
Now, on the point of Smith and Labuschagne, I think Ashok talked about it earlier. I think it was a great partnership. It was very, very compelling to watch. But where there was a marked difference between Smith and Labuschagne was trying to play a lot off the pitch, and that made him vulnerable to the kind of LBW that he got out in the second innings throughout the innings. I mean, his eyes were so sharp, his hand-eye coordination was so good that he was able to sort of get his bat down in time on most occasions. But on a wicket like this against two such bowlers, it's an approach which is fraught with extreme risk. I mean, Smith, you can clearly see there are two batsmen who average 60, but like one is in a whole different league to the other. And Smith was able to do that, more on merit. Like he was able to go on the front foot as well as off the back foot, and he did not he was beaten quite a few times. I mean, Jadeja really bowled beautifully to him. But even then, he was trusting his defense. He was still sort of planting his foot forward for like fuller balls. He was not trying to play off the pitch. So that approach for me was remarkable. I mean, even in a test which was as abysmal as this, you can clearly see why Smith stands out as by far the best batter in the world and perhaps the second greatest of all time, if not the third. I mean, third, if not the second. Yeah.
No, and also just think of it this way: had India or any other team gone to Australia, say like the Gabba or any pitch, Perth or any sort of fast, like a pitch that helps fast bowlers, and got 91 all out, I mean, there would have been an examination of, and rightly so, there would have been an examination of batting techniques and why they came up short. And okay, the bowling was very good, but still, if you heard like Gavaskar was on air for often, and when he was on air for the Gavaskar and Shastri, they were both on air for the second innings when Khwaja edged to slip. Right. And they were talking about how it is totally fine that he wanted to drive that full ball. But the fact is that he was trying to drive it with, his body slightly outside the line of the ball. And then he's pushing. So instead, had he got closer to the ball, had he tried to, take that step forward, and then had he got to the place where he's not trying to hit through extra cover, but he's actually trying to hit a bit straighter, he might not have edged it. Now, that is a very interesting insight from two players who were extremely good playing in these conditions, especially Sunny, who was a master. And, similarly, they said something about Labuschagne in the second innings when he got plumb, right? Because he was basically just waiting for the ball to see where it was turning, and then he was trying to play it. Invariably, he missed that. And then Pat Cummins, of course, there was an observation about Pat Cummins about playing away from the body, but that's Pat Cummins. I mean, he was not a top order player. But I'm saying that there needs to be that examination for batters here as well. I mean, a better technique might have helped them not win the match, but might have helped them survive for longer. And
but it's not easy. But it's not easy, Like it's okay, fine. Even Khwaja will admit that he should have, gotten closer to the line of the ball and driven. But Labuschagne is an interesting approach. We did the 2004 series retrospect before the preview, and in which we sort of praised Damien Martin for playing the way he did, and he was essentially doing the same thing. And think about it from Labuschagne's perspective, right? He's preparing for a series. He's looking at past success. He could play like Michael Clarke. He could play like Matthew Hayden. Those approaches don't work for him. And then he looks at Damien Martin, and that's not a bad approach to try and emulate. Except that I guess the wicket was harder than, let's say, the Chennai wicket of 2004, perhaps. But more importantly, the bowling was much harder, and the bowling involves not just the two spinners, but also the two fast bowlers, right?
Yeah, I mean, and with all due respect to Kumble and Harbhajan in 2004, as great as they were and as great as they are, I mean, this is still a notch higher, man. I mean, Ashwin and Jadeja are the way they're bowling now. It's like it's higher. I mean,
let's see. Even then, you can, let's say, batsmen do get lucky more than now. If you are like beaten 8 times, 9 times, and then edge one, it happens more often than we think, right? So you can actually see of a Jadeja or an Ashwin spell, but the problem is what comes after that. It's Aksar or Siraj, or Aksar or Sami, or Shiraj or Sami. I mean, then there is no let up, there is no opening. That is the problem for Australia in these conditions. There is no opening. There is no seeing first hour off, and then your second hour you get to bat. You can't. The second hour is as tough as the first hour. Third hour is as tough as the second hour. So you are screwed in a way. I mean, sure. I mean, there will be 1 or 2 days where, like that Dean Elgar in South Africa or Bairstow in England, whatever you do comes off, and then you will post a big score. But in India against this attack, 8 times out of 10, this is going to be the case. 170, 250. I would be very, very surprised on a surface which has even little help. A team scores 450. I mean, they would have been very lucky on that, or in that innings against this.
See, that's the thing, right? Because when India goes to England or Australia or South Africa, even though India have a very good attack, the opposition also has an equally good, if not better, attack for those conditions. Like in South Africa, we saw, the very close series which India lost, or England which they drew. But here the problem is that there is no team I can think of at the moment. I mean, not even Pakistan or Sri Lanka. Maybe Bangladesh is the closest that can come to.
I was telling this in our chats. Like Bangladesh have like 3 very good spinners. Like Tajul is very good. Shakib is very good. Mehdi is okay. He's good.
So but they don't have the pace. No, that is the problem.
If Bangladesh come, they'll not get the same wicket, right?
They won't get this Nagpur wicket. They will get they came also. No, they got that Calcutta wicket.
Swinging Calcutta.
No, but there is a pink ball day night test, so it is a different.
No, but then they got another test, right? They got 2 tests.
Yeah.
No, the Calcutta one was against Sri Lanka. Calcutta one was against Sri Lanka, where bowling finishes off.
They also played a pink ball test against Bangladesh, which was quite dangerous because, especially in
Ishant, I think, played that match, right?
And some of the bouncers were hitting like the helmet so hard.
Helmets. Anyway, so Bangladesh won't get the Nagpur pitch. So basically, it's very hard for any opposing team to come to India and win because their bowling will not even be like 50% off for Indians bowling for these conditions.
That's actually a good segue for us to talk about the pitch because I really want to talk about it.
Doctored pitch.
No, doctored is fine. Doctored is fine.
Why prejudice against engineer? Why can't you say pitch is engineered? Why is it?
Actually, engineered is better. It makes more sense.
Yeah. What is this?
But no, I think the issue was it was a bad look more than anything. It was not, people were not thinking about what it resulted in. People were like, why in the evening of the day before a match or whatever, why are people, doing this selective watering on these pitches? It's a bad look. Basically, it's the optics. That's all. It's not.
No, but optics also, like, it's not like we have documented history of optics on the eve of a test match of all the pitches in India, right? It's not like every test match we have an idea of how a normal pitch preparation looks and how, therefore, this is deviant, therefore this is doctored. But before all that, let's come to the more fundamental point. And that too, especially a lot of the Aussies seem to take pride in saying that we don't doctor our pitches, whereas India does. I'm like, what is a natural pitch? Pitch is the most artificial of things, right? It is not easy. Like even in Singapore, when they're trying to make a pitch, it's a nightmare to make a pitch. And even to put an AstroTurf on top, the amount of effort involved in making a pitch is ridiculous, and you're not going to get the result.
I'll tell you the issue. The issue seems to be, as far as I can read the situation, and having read the Aussie press and all, the issue seems to be that for a while in the last few years, there has been a central committee in charge of pitches in India, right? So there is this BCCI pitch committee, and there will be one or two people go to every test, examine the pitch, and they basically have their own whatever they will have their own diktats for the groundsman and this thing. In Australia, what happens is, because of the autonomous situation, the groundsman will not necessarily take any diktat. Like a groundsman in Adelaide, for instance, will not necessarily take a diktat from someone in Victoria or someone in New South Wales. They'll just do their own thing. So this seems to be like this thing, and how that's why Daniel Brettig posted something saying that Nagpur 2004 situation won't happen again, which is true. Nagpur situation won't happen because no association is going to go rogue against
think about it the
BCCI.
other way around, right? If you don't have central control, then you're going to get rogue pitches like that, and that rogue pitch will be offset by another rogue pitch in Bombay, which is the opposite. So in a test series, if you get one extreme like that and one extreme like the Bombay, I would like to believe that it leads to a more variance in test series, perhaps more, less fairness or whatever, right? I mean, okay, they've been doing it for a while. It's not like for this series they decided to do it. Is there evidence to believe that this is counterproductive as against the other system? In fact, there's enough evidence to believe that enough state associations are going rogue in the past.
Well, there was a piece done in Indian Express by this journalist who I'll link, Venkat Krishna, who basically, spoke to people who had made the pitches for like the 98 series in Chennai, the famous match in Chennai where Sachin scores 155, and had done exactly the same thing. The G. Parthsarthi, the curator, says, I basically made sure that the extremes of the pitch, where Shane Warne is basically going to spin the ball in, was flat. He was not going to get that turn in. I made sure that was flat, and then I made sure to do the other things. And then apparently Warne also went to him later and said, I was not getting any turn. And he said, that's probably because you've just come back from a shoulder injury. I mean, he was quipping. But this has been happening.
No, but that is also a cute story, right? I mean, see how much to believe, because we don't know. It's not like you want a pitch and you get that pitch. There is so much variance. I mean, even here, what happened to all that watering? I mean, Ashwin got one left-hander out in the first innings, and who was also playing a reverse sweep, right? So all the talk for nothing.
The only time it can seem like, there was this pitch against England, right, in Ahmedabad, where England was 81 all out, that famous match. Now, if every single pitch that India plays a test at home is like that, then there is a case to say, okay, there is like some serious systematic doctoring going on here, and only India is doing this for their spinners. But that is far from the truth. Like even this Nagpur pitch, Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj are getting wickets, man. They're creating chances. And how many pitches have Indian fast bowlers?
Man. The more damning thing, they're scoring runs.
They're scoring runs. So basically, there is every single Indian player in this match had a say, right? Everyone can say that this pitch was good for them.
See, my thing is this: if you reverse this, and you see a Perth pitch or a Melbourne pitch before the match, and you're allowed to take photos and say, okay, see the grass and all that. Are you given the exact privilege that this backlash has been afforded to the Aussie media? Can an Indian media go and say, look at the grass, this is doctored pitch, this is unfair and all that? You would be said, no, this is how pitches are in Perth, in Melbourne, in Australian condition, in South African condition, where it has historically aided seam, bounce, pace, whatnot. Right?
No, you remember that.
Therefore, calling this, this whole hue and cry, I don't understand.
Let's put it this way: if there was somebody from the Central Cricket Australia who goes to the day before the match, who goes to the Adelaide Oval or who goes to Sydney Cricket Ground, and then if there is also like some selective preparation going on, it would be a story. Now, whether it is something that happens one-off or if it's been happening for a long time, we don't know, right?
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, preparing a pitch is part of a curator's job, no? So why it's like going inside a surgery and asking doctor, why are you using that knife and what not this knife? Yeah, let him do his job. No, that is his job. If the pitch is not good, right, there is a mechanism through which you can appeal it, and a demerit point is given to the pitch, saying that this is not good for cricket. Right, there is a process for that. So if there is a process for that, why do you want to cry before even a ball is bowled? Right, that is not fair, right? Unless there is like a systematic prejudice against ball spinning and not seaming. Like if you are very convinced in
If
life
every
that this
test is ending in like 1.5 days with spinners taking 20 wickets, that is a different issue altogether.
No, and it's not easy. Even in Chennai, for instance, the first test, for instance, everybody is complaining, oh, we produce a road. And if you want to turn around a road in like pretty quick time, you have to do things which makes it reasonably dramatic. And that's what you get in the next test, right?
this
And
is
even
this is
like
undermining the curator and his expertise in preparing a pitch.
Yeah, but this is all bullshit. No, all this we are independent and you're not, and we we are challenging and you're bent. This is just rhetorical nonsense. No, it doesn't really matter what mechanism there is for defining what kind of pitch gets prepared. In every country, pitches are prepared to help the home team's bowling and help the whole team's traditional bowling strengths. And the traditional bowling strengths develop accordingly. No, it's not a coincidence that Australia produces great fast bowlers. They produce great fast bowlers because they have great pitches for fast bowling. It's not a coincidence that England produces great seamers. They do it because they have great conditions for seam bowling, especially since the 1960s. India produces very nice spinners because the pitches are conducive for the production of very good spin bowlers. But the point is, what kind of pitch would be doctored against this Indian team? Every time a bowling side doesn't have the bowlers for a particular kind of pitch, they think it's unfair. But it's not unfair, no. I mean, if India go to Australia and they don't have any fast bowling, then they're going to think that the Australian pitches are doctored against them because they don't have the fast bowling and Australia do. So it's similar, no, over here. I mean, in Australia spinners bowled a lot of overs. They took 8 for 281 in the match. So it was the same pitch.
No, but doctoring never comes into play there, right? See, that's the thing. The assumption is that is natural.
But that's not the point. No, this is not about what pitches are and what the facts are or what is actually the case. This is about what people say. No, this is about rhetoric. This is about propaganda.
That is true. And there's another point.
No, wait. It's entirely propaganda. It's entirely propaganda. If there's nothing else beyond it, it's like psychobabble. It's like just it's just a pitch reading is like mind reading. Because what they're not interested in what kind of pitch it is. They're interested in the motives of the people preparing the pitch. That is what they're aiming at. That's not really, that's irrelevant, basically. They can say whatever they want as far as I'm concerned. Except that when they say one thing when it's in India and another thing when it's in England or Australia, then I'm going to point it out, as I have many times. But that's more for entertainment than for like some righteous reasons, because it's fun pointing out obviously stupid people doing obviously stupid things in something as inconsequential as cricket. But the point is, right now, for this Indian team, it's relatively easy to doctor a pitch in favor of this bowling attack.
Yeah, and because you can prepare 95% of the pitches will help this bowling attack.
Yeah, and I mean, look, this test match was about depth. India basically got Ashwin and Jadeja who make it like India playing with 13 players. And basically India playing 5 batsmen, 5 bowlers, and 1 wicket keeper. And they have just too many batsmen and too many bowlers. And Australia, with 3 injuries, just didn't have the bowlers to match. And they tried to sort of make a compromise, as teams normally do when they are struggling for balance because they have injuries. And their compromises didn't work for them. I mean, the window of opportunity for Australia to compete in this test match was very, very narrow. They needed basically a lot of things to go really right for them. And, they had about average luck. India had about average luck. And so, given that they're in trouble. I mean, if Mitchell Stark is not fit, I think they're in trouble here in this series. Because I mean, also one thing I would really like to know is, I think Australia should have found a way to play 5 bowlers somehow on this condition, because if they have so much concern about the pitch, and if actually all the nonsense they're talking in the papers is actually shared by the Australian cricket team, then if this is not the pitch on which they're going to play Ashton Agar, where are they going to play? So
yeah, but that is the problem. No, they
they don't really think it's a problem of the pitch. No, they think it's a problem of depth. And really, I mean, let's face it, playing this Indian team in Asia right now is probably the hardest assignment ever. I mean, it's like if you leave aside like obvious disadvantages, like having to travel by boat for 6 weeks, being amateurs and this and that, and Indian teams traveling to Australia or England, or New Zealand teams traveling to England or something. If you consider sort of the playing balance of power, then right now playing this Indian team in India is, I mean, India have won 29 of their last 37 tests in India and lost 2. I mean, and Australia, like, I don't know if Mitchell Stark comes back, and if Cameron Green can play, I can see conditions in which Australia could win a test match. The pink ball test, I would put money on Australia if they are fit. And I do think that Steve Smith is batting better right now than he was in 2021. And he wasn't there in 2018-19. So, I mean, there are conditions I can foresee in which a Steve Smith 100 could set up an Australian win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're a good team, man. I mean, that absolutely no doubt. I mean, they had a big defeat, but they also, I mean, if fully fit, then you're talking about like Cummins, Stark, Lyon, and Murphy, who's had a good start to his career. That's a good 4. And if Green is around, then that's 5. Green will give you that good backup. That's 5. Green also is Green and Stark also lengthen your batting, because I mean Stark can tonk it round. Green is a good bat. So yeah, I mean, for sure they need conditions to go their way. But even then, even with the strongest lineup, I mean, this Indian bowling attack takes something. I want to just finish off one thing about this pitch. Just one thing about this pitch topic before we get out of it altogether, is that unlike England or Australia or even South Africa till not too long ago, India does not have a fixed calendar, right? So in Australia, the Melbourne curator knows exactly when every test match of the year is going to be. Sydney curator knows it. And invariably, Brisbane and Adelaide, I mean, they switch things around, but they largely know when it is. In India, you could have a test match in February, you could have a test match in September, you could have a test match in December. I mean, the calendar is so varied that every curator and every groundsman then has to work around that, right? And obviously, India wants to play for its strengths. Obviously, they want the pitches to favor the home team, like any team in the world would want to. So yeah, there has to be an extra level of curating that happens. Now you call it doctoring, you call it engineering, I don't know, but the curators have a much harder job here. Unlike say in Adelaide or Melbourne, where they know what's coming. They have that, it's all set 1 year in advance.
Yeah, I mean, let's be blunt, okay? I mean, the curators don't have a case to answer. That's it.
They don't, but I'm just trying to put things in context and say it's not easy to, make a test match pitch in India at various times of the year. I mean, you have various other things in play, no?
But the prejudice is clearly in the language, right? It's not, doctoring and what is that?
Dodgy.
Systematically doctored.
Now they have found a
mischief, Like, I mean, it's all loaded with suspicion.
Now they have
right?
found a very sanitized set of words. Natural variation.
Yeah.
As opposed to artificial uniformity. What the fuck is
Natural variation? Natural variation is actually a very subtle way of saying that the bowlers are not doing anything. The pitch is only doing everything for them. So, like, okay, take away the credit from the bowler and put it on the pitch.
No. But Shane Warne used to say that. No, Shane Warne used to say.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I went back to the YouTube videos where in the early 2010s, Shane Warne pretty much started this whole thing, making it mainstream. Pretty much when he was still playing only, and he was clearly saying, you just hit the same length, hit the right length through the day. There will be a time in which natural variation will help you. And by that, he meant that there will be a time when there's ball hits an indentation, ball hits something, ball will shoot up, ball will go down, you will benefit. But that is not, he's not saying that you just go land up, you roll your arm over and then that's it, it'll be done. He's calling for skill, but he's saying this is the extra that comes. And of course, he also used to joke saying that no bowler will ever say that because they also want to take credit for being the good ball and all. But the fact is that you do get this help from time to time.
No, but it's not like that. No, it's not like that. But Shane Warne is saying you have to have control. No, because ultimately people absolutely despise it when this is pointed out. But it's really simple. That's not to say it's easy. It's really difficult to actually do. But what is to be done is really simple. The bowler has to have control over where he's bowling the ball. The ball has to be delivered exactly where the bowler wants to bowl it. It has to pitch exactly where the bowler wants to pitch it. And when the bowler bowls a leg break, it should turn from leg to off. And when the bowler bowls a googly, it should turn from off to leg. And when the bowler says, and that's not like the bowler bullshitting people. No, that's like the bowler saying, I wanted to bowl it there and I bowled it there exactly. And Shane Warne could do that like 99% of the time. The greatest bowlers do that. Pat Cummins can do that 99% of the time. Then, okay, if it doesn't move, if he's bowling an attacking length, if he's, trying to, Shane Warne is trying to draw a cover drive and the batsman plays the cover drive, fine, okay. I mean, next time it'll turn a little bit more. Like that's natural variation from that very good length. But the whole point is to have enough control to be able to bowl a line in length, which makes the batsman's choices worse. So if the batsman wants to score, the batsman has to take a chance. If the batsman, wants to sacrifice scoring and defend, then okay, you won. You didn't concede anything. But that's the whole basis of bowling in Test cricket. So that's why Test cricket is a game of control. Then okay, once you do that, then varying pitch. Sometimes the ball will not bounce as much. Sometimes it will bounce extra. Then nowadays these bowlers do this like clever stuff about the wobble seam and the cross seam, so that sometimes it lands on the seam, sometimes it lands on the leather, and it will not bounce the same each time, and it will not move the same each time. It will move a little bit, but that's part of the game. No, that's natural variation. Like Ashwin today, he got David Warner LBW with a one which went straight on with the arm. That's not, I mean, I don't think he meant that. I think, he probably bowled a simple off break, but that's natural variation, no? But the point is that Ashwin's length is so superb that even if it did turn, Warner had to defend it very, very carefully because it was the line and length which made Warner have to defend his stumps. If Ashwin keeps bowling like one outside off stump every over where the batsman has a square cut, then what? That there can be as much natural variation there as much you want. He's still going to get thumped, no? The skill, the art of bowling lies in control.
Correct, man. But that's not what these guys are talking about. No, these guys found a very sanitized way of saying this pitch is like loaded in favor. This pitch is a square turner.
No. The thing is, this has become a cliche in Aussie commentary. It happens even in their home season, by the way. When they were playing against South Africa, also I was listening to commentary where they were talking about this natural variation and all. So, but the fact is, they don't they attribute it almost as if they're taking away some of the skill of the bowler here, and they're attributing it to the pitch, which is the subtle sort of messaging that I don't like, because natural variation has a lot to do with the bowler too, not just the pitch.
No, when Shane once said natural variation, it was very refreshing when we first heard it, because here's this absolute genius that everybody thought everything that he did was precise. He knew exactly what to do and so on. So while he humanized himself, and not just himself, like other geniuses like him, right? Wasim Akram and Muralidharan and all those people that we thought knew exactly, like, if you talk about Wasim Akram's ball to Rahul Dravid in Chennai, you would think that he had everything precisely measured, coming in this way, going out that way, and so on. But that's not the point. He bowls so consistently there, and he's got so much skill that by bowling consistently there, he's giving himself a chance of getting this magic ball every now and then. Right? It is not in that magic ball it happens. So when Shane Warne did that, it did two things.
Like Bumrah and West Indies.
Yeah, Bumrah and West Indies. Right? It's a confluence of factors falling together, but the core of it is control and skill, not just control. Right? Control. Even I could bowl the same ball in the same place, but it's about how it goes there and what it does after that and so on. So when we say control at that level, it is a lot of skill and control, right?
Yeah, it's very hard to do that. I mean, and it's not just one ball. It's like you bowl a spell of 6 overs, and you get 1 or 2 balls where you don't intend to bowl them. That's fine. You get 1 or 2 balls in an over where you don't intend to bowl them. That's like what, 8 or 10 balls you're missing in a spell. That difference between the guys who miss 1 or 2 balls in a spell and the guys who miss 8 or 10 balls in a 6-over spell is huge. Like, that's like, one is not a test player and one is a test player. This is just, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, absolutely. I mean, first of all, if between first class cricket and test cricket, like, if you just watch a first class game, and if you just see the repeatability, right? Like, how is the bowler running in each ball? Do they have the same action? How are they able to hit the same length? Are they able to keep it accurate? How many loose balls are they bowling? You see first class games in which bowlers will bowl 2 loose balls in an over, man. I mean, and in test cricket, you don't get that. Like, how many loose balls did Ashwin bowl in this spell, second inning spell? How many loose balls did Jadeja bowl? You won't get anything. No, but talking about the bowlers conceding runs and doing unconventional things and control and all that, also sometimes you miss the $1 million bowler, who would be like, let's go all out. Let's just, the Shoaib in his heyday, Waqar or Shane Warne even, like giving the ball the air, being the extravagant. You miss the extravagant bowler also once in a while.
But Shane Warne is a rare exception. I mean, Shane Warne is not like Bishan Singh Bedi, right? Bishan Singh Bedi believed in, like, inviting the batsman, and if you get hit for 4 fours, that's fine. You're buying a wicket with 4 boundaries, so that's cheap.
Warne also, right?
But Warne didn't have to do that. He was doing the same thing, but without conceding as many runs. That is a cheat code.
Yeah, that's true. Bedi was more the $1 million bowler. Correct.
Yeah, Bedi was a classic $1 million bowler. But I'm saying even like Harbhajan has done that, and to some extent even Kumble has done that. But Shane Warne was it's just a cheat code. Like, he rarely did that. He rarely had to concede runs to be able to get wickets.
Yeah, but come on, when you don't have the bowling, what other choice have you got? You have to pull some stunt like that. No?
I mean, but to be fair, I was actually thinking Lyon may do well in this test after watching all the Indian spinners bowl, because Lyon has done well in India before, and 2017 he had a very good series. I mean, Bangalore was a fantastic spell and had a good series. But I mean, I really don't know what he did wrong. Maybe it was the pace at which he was bowling, as some commentators were saying, but I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. I think he's very much like Harbhajan Singh in that sense. Ashwin said after the match that this was a very slow pitch, and it was not the kind of pitch where your extra bounce is going to hit the glove and pop up. You're not going to hit the bat high consistently. So this was a driving pitch. So that's why they had to keep bowling full and keep pushing the batsman to come out and drive, and they did that. And also, the other sort of countermeasure to a slow pitch is to bowl faster. Which all of them, I think Murphy, Jadeja, Akshar Patel. Ashwin was probably the slowest of the spinners, but everybody else was averaging about 90 kilometers per hour. So the point is that Lyon is much more suited to the sort of the red soil, the turn and bounce kind of pitch. Whereas this is not the turn and bounce kind of pitch. This is a slow pitch. You'll see, there was not a single bat pad catch in this match, unless I'm wrong.
Rohit actually gave a bit of an inside edge chance, but that was wide of the fielder. Yeah.
Yeah, once.
But
mostly it was slip where Steve Smith and Kohli kept dropping catches, and and then it was bowled and LBW, no, and that's not really Nathan Lyon's style. It was not. He turns the ball too much to do that. No, he did. The two Australian off spinners actually turned the ball more than the Indian bowlers in this match. I looked at the BCCI's Hawkeye figures. They're publishing them on their site.
So the Australians turned it more degree wise.
Yeah. More lateral turn. And also, I think also more overspin. But it was too slow for that. It was not a quick pitch. So, whereas I think the red soil pitches tend to be slightly quicker. They tend to not be as slow, like Bombay or I think even Chinnaswamy. So
Chinnaswamy can go either way.
Yeah, it'll be different, I think, next match. Because the Kotla maybe won't be as slow, I think.
Yeah. So that's the other thing, right? That was another SMG Gavaskar insight that he mentioned during the game. He's like, this kind of a pitch, what Steve Smith was doing in the second innings, for most of the second innings, when he was trying to cover, have that no gap between bat and pad, make sure that he's not bowled through the gate like he was the first time, and be fine even if he was beaten off the outside edge, is the way to go. So Gavaskar was saying that on this kind of a pitch, you play for the straighter one, and if you get beaten for turn, you get beaten for turn. So be it. So, but you can't play for the turn because then invariably you're going to miss the arm ball. So yeah, that was interesting. Smith did his bit the second time. He again got bowled, but that was off a no ball. But yeah, mostly he was covering the line of the ball and covering the, not leaving too much of a gap so that the Jadeja straighter one wouldn't get him again, though it did.
No, Jadeja, even by his normal standards, was extraordinary in this test. To get the ball to grip and turn the way he did, and then to get the ball to straighten. He could beat the bat by a big sort of margin. He could just beat the bat enough, and he could get the ball to come in and then go straight. And he was doing that consistently with pretty much no loose ball at all. It was relentless. To me, I don't know, maybe I'm getting carried away by the recency bias, but to me, this was Jadeja's best spell.
Yeah, and also the degree of turn, right? Like, as you were saying, like, it's amazing how he can just vary that on, like, at will. Like, between, 0.2 centimeters and whatever. He can just calibrate that as he wishes, and the ball just spins a little, it spins a lot, doesn't spin, then it comes in. How do you even handle all this? It's impossible. And then plus, of course, there's the crease that he plays with. He bowls close to the umpire, he bowls a little further. He's just unbelievably, unbelievable variations, unbelievable subtlety. You can't handle them.
And control. He never.
Yeah, most of all. Yeah.
He never. He's rarely square cut, and he rarely bowls a half ball.
When we were watching this, I was thinking about a podcast that Couch did with Sunil Subramaniam, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And this was very early in Jadeja and Ashwin's career, and Ashwin was really at his peak at the time, right? Or just about taking off. And
he helped Ashwin also, right? Yeah.
No, he was Ashwin's coach, so we all know that.
Yeah.
And at that time, he made the statement saying the best spinner in the country today is Ravindra Jadeja.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the way, and he was particularly pointing out the way the ball comes out of his hand and how consistent it is and how much control he has. I didn't fully understand at that point of time. I can see that he's making a point. And of course, at that time, people in Chennai were joking that, Sunil is not happy with Ashwin for something, so he's making the statement, just to provoke him or whatever. But the man had, of course, he himself was a fine spinner. So the man had some really good insights about how Jadeja was bowling even before he took off. And so I was thinking about it for some strange reason. And when I was watching this spell, okay, if you had played the game at a level where you can understand this, maybe you can even foresee this. Yeah, when he said that, at that time, Ashwin had played 16 tests and Jadeja had played 5 tests. And Ashwin had a phenomenal start to his career in his first 15 tests.
Wow.
And
yeah,
from Chennai, he was his coach and so on. So for him to say that was quite striking. And yeah, so he was proven to be right. And he had such foresight about Jadeja's spinning prowess even then.
Yeah, and I don't think Jadeja had even become a one-day force as a bowler at that time. I mean, it's only later that he picked up becoming a great one-day bowler, and then the test bowling came after that.
No, at that time he was slightly in the meme variety, right?
Yes. Everybody was piling on him, basically.
Yeah. Basically, I think in one T20 World Cup, I think Watson hammers him. And then I think he only runs out Sachin during that 175.
Yes, that I remember. I was there in Hyderabad, yes.
That he got trolled for big time.
So the two most trolled cricketers of the social media generation had a great match.
Yeah, and another World Cup, I think either T20 or I don't know what, but yeah, I think mostly T20. He bats very slowly. So yeah, I mean, 2 or 3 times he gets severely trolled, right? And then yeah, his Test cricket takes off.
Yeah, I don't think Mahesh. I don't think Rohit is number 2 in this trolling business. I think Ishant is ahead of Rohit.
No,
Rohit is probably 3. Rohit is probably 3.
Come on, he was called
Ishant Sharma has been hammered and slaughtered on social media, man.
What are you saying, Mahesh? You can't just randomly put Rohit Sharma at the top of all your lists.
Exactly. Correct.
Are you saying he
Good
wasn't
point.
the most trolled cricketer? Like at one point of time, I thought he was the most trolled human being on earth.
That's your bias.
He's been the most replaceable Indian cricketer in the last decade. Jadeja had all those triple hundreds in Ranji Trophy. I think he had 3. And he was always thought of more as a batsman who can bowl a little bit. In a sense, like Jadeja and Steve Smith, their careers have sort of started at opposite ends and ended up at opposite ends. Like Steve Smith started out as a spinner who bowled a little bit and batted in the number 8. And he's become the best batsman in the world since then. And Jadeja started out as a middle order batsman who could bowl a little bit, and he's become India's specialist spinner.
India's best bowler and batsman. No, at the moment.
Don't start. Hey, don't start this.
Well, I mean, he definitely his runs are not useless like Rohit Sharma. So yeah.
No, but let us not forget the most important aspect of Ravindra Jadeja's bowling in this test. Some ointment that he applied from there. What was that all about, man? These guys made that into a major issue. There was this became a sandpaper level thing, as if he was doing some ball tampering and all. My point is, first of all, why would a spinner in India want to apply ointment to the ball?
Yeah, you would want to keep it dry. Yeah.
You would want to keep it dry, no? Why he wants to apply ointment to the ball? First of all,
he's not a seamer.
Exactly. He's not a seamer, right? It's not like that Vaseline controversy where Lever went and ran through India and Bedi said he put Vaseline. This guy is a spinner on the first morning. And you think he wants to put ointment on the ball?
Maybe he wanted a reverse spin.
Reverse spin. Correct.
Yeah, the ball will come towards the bowler instead of going towards the batsman.
No, and also the Indian team clarified that what exactly had happened. That this Jadeja had some, that ointment for that pain relief or whatever. They clarified also. It's not like they were hiding the matter. Australia were saying, no, it was not sandpaper and all initially.
No, to cut it down to size. First of all, Sandpaper-gate itself was blown out of proportion because of Australia's stupid sense of morality, right? There was an ICC ban. They created that into a bigger issue and made
into a 1-year ban.
Yeah, one year ban. And also, even in the Sandpaper-gate, I wanted to talk about it in some other context, but glad you brought it up. The first guy who called it a sandpaper was a South African cricketer. I forgot his name. He's a first-class cricketer. I don't think he played Test cricket. He said, "I'm a carpenter. I know what it is." And he said sandpaper on Twitter, right? And the first reaction from Australian cricketers was that they used something else. In fact, they admitted the ball tampering thing, but they didn't admit the sandpaper. So I was thinking about it, like, these guys are talking about the pitch, right? For you to say something about the pitch, you should have some sense of what it is. When that guy said sandpaper, he also added, I'm a carpenter. I understand what a sandpaper does and why it is there and how it looks. He just looked at it, saw the photo and said, this is 100% sandpaper. So when the Aussies denied it, I felt like, okay, that guy was overconfident. Then later, subsequently, they admitted it was sandpaper.
What test did we? Out of four of us, you're the guy who actually worked in the media. You have professional experience. You know what it's like. Think about it, yeah. The Australia are losing badly. They're getting smashed absolutely. And Fox Cricket and the Australian papers and all, they're petrified that Australian public will switch off the cricket and go watch something else. So obviously they have to gin up some nonsense, no? So first day it was DRS is broken. Then it's this thing where this absolutely cunning plot comes about with Siraj actually putting the white cream like on the back of his hand like and holding it out like this and walking out like so where everybody can see it like this is supposed to be some big secret thing, Okay, fine. Technically, okay. Me, I like the laws of cricket and stuff. Technically, yeah, they should have informed the umpires saying, okay, we are putting this. And we don't know whether they did. They might have. The umpires might know that, yeah,
no, they didn't. He's fine. He's fine for demerit points and fine because they didn't inform the umpire.
So, fine. They should have done that. That's all fine. But why they're ginning up a racket, no? I mean, come on.
Yeah. All that is there. All that is fine. But I'm just, constantly. No,
but even if you're ginning up a racket, it has to make sense. What's the spinner going to do with that?
Exactly. That is my point.
No, Mahesh, come on. If it makes sense, it won't be a racket, no?
No. Sandpaper was a racket. We all agree. And they're okay. They probably benefited from it also. That is all fine. But this is absurd.
Can I just say, you are doing this completely wrong. We don't have to ignore it. We have to inflame it. Like, we have to take it to a point of mania where, like, the Australian PM and the Indian PM would have to come on TV and say, no, we are not going to war.
Summit meeting.
Calm down. Everybody, please calm down. This is not going to be the start of the World War III. Till that point in time, we have to inflame this because then it will be entertaining. Then I can be entertained 24 hours a day. See, the most important thing everybody is missing here is how to keep me entertained 24 hours a day. That is why cricket exists.
That's correct. Right? I agree.
You have to have entertainment.
I agree.
You guys, I've been telling from the start of this podcast, you guys have been talking about stats, what is right, this is entertainment, man. If a batsman steals a ground and bowler hits a wicket, that is not enough for me. Why has the bowler not initiated physical assault? That's what I will ask.
Yes.
You would go and give sense, you will put 10,000 screenshots. I will say, man, this should have turned into a boxing match 5 minutes ago. That has not happened and it's not entertaining. Please entertain me.
I want to endorse every single word Ashoka said over there.
Oh, completely. God, man. That's it. We should shut down the podcast. I think the objective of the podcast is done. He has agreed with the people.
But we have to also shout at the right things at the right people. I think basically we should really, really, really keep shouting at the Australians for not defending their players when they get into trouble. What? This is just shameful. Like such disloyalty. Such disloyalty, man. This is like, what? Tendulkar reportedly lied for Harbhajan Singh in front of a judge, according to Adam Gilchrist, in his book. This is proper, like, you have to stand up for your teammate, no? You learned it in football, no? Yeah, one defender goes and like utterly takes out the opponent. The opponent gets pissed off. What do the teammates guys do? They rush up to the opponent who's pissed off and say, how dare you? It doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong over there. You have to defend your player, yeah. He's your player.
No, that's exactly the point, right? When all these
What is
Aussies
this?
talk about, talk against India, they doctor pitch and whatever. The standard Indian response is, what about paper-gate? Like Sandpaper-gate. No, that's not the response. We should actually make them feel guilty for it, not like make
Yeah.
them, for throwing their plays like this is not the defense. We should always throw the card back at them for not being loyal to their players, and not just any other player, the second greatest batsman of all time.
Sidvi, I don't think, speaking of very serious topics, I don't think we have talked about Pujara, Rahul, and Kohli.
See, unfortunately, KL Rahul got only one innings to bat. Okay. So, actually, all of them got only one innings to bat. Okay. Then there is no difference there also. But
Also-
no, I'm particularly interested in talking about Pujara and that sweep shot. How many times has Pujara got out to a sweep shot? I think Jared Kimber posted some stat or something. I missed it. I think he said some 14. He has swept only some 15 times or something in his career. So it was very, very, very strange for me to see Pujara sweep. And I was totally fine with the way he was batting. Like people were saying intent and all that. Pujara plays that way. That is fine. He's positive. There are, many innings when he's positive. But I was surprised to see that sweep shot. I mean,
What? I wasn't, and it was a rank long hop, man. Just bad luck.
No, the problem is not that he got out to a stupid ball. The problem is that we rarely see him sweep, and usually people resort to sweep one if they're good at it, like Rohit Sharma, or like carry if you don't have anything else to play, you play the sweep. But Pujara doesn't need the sweep. He's so good at playing spin on a minefield, let alone a pitch like this.
Firstly, you tell me what other shot is possible on that ball, man, with Pujara got out.
yeah, he could have left it. No, that's it.
Then you would have said no intent.
No. See, the thing is, I'm not blaming him here. These things happen, and he's a fantastic player. What I'm saying is, it is just very uncharacteristic to see Pujara sweep like that, and especially when there was a fielder right there, and he basically just hit it straight to him. So that is the only thing I'm saying. I mean, I'm not judging him as a batter based on that one shot.
Plus, always remember, he and Kohli and Rahul in this match, they made the runs that were required. They got India to 280. Like, okay.
Yeah. Correct. With the lower order. Yeah. Also, Rahul and Kohli. I mean, see, Kohli. You get out like that, man. I mean, what? That's like now these days it has almost become like a tactic. You find more and more batters getting strangled down the leg side, and sometimes I feel if bowlers are intentionally like just throwing it out there once in a while to gauge their luck. Remember, I think in the India tour to Australia also, there were quite a few of these that were happening, and we were joking about it, whether it was a tactic or whether it was a.
But if majority of the balls are bowled on middle and leg stump, you're going to have one such triangle, of course. But the more important question to answer with Kohli is that, see, there is nothing obvious that we can see that he's doing wrong. But he's still not had the what is the word we were using? Resurrection or resurgence that we had seen.
Re-rise
that we had seen in T20 and one day is in Test cricket yet. And it's been a reasonably long period. I think post-COVID he's just not been the same batsman. And the question then with Kohli is, if there's nothing obvious, is this basically a decline? Is this a terminal decline? Is this?
What do you mean? He just last month he made like hundreds and stuff. No, that is his re-emergence in ODIs. No.
Yeah. ODIs.
That would have been the narrative had he scored today, but because he didn't, the narrative is changing.
30 matches, man. The guy has played 100. 36 matches, his average is under like 25, 26. So there is legitimacy to the questions being asked. It's not just this one dismissal, right? It's like, when are you're the team's number 4? So that is one question. And secondly, with Gill, doing well in other formats, there is a temptation to bring him in. With Shreyas Iyer fit, I mean, they are going to come for Kohli's position if Kohli doesn't start scoring soon.
No. The thing is, if decline is like, if you're talking about like, has his reflexes got slower, or is he seeing that ball that extra 1 second late or something?
Yeah.
No, but that usually there are signs, right? Like either players start getting bowled more often. They start, the short ball starts troubling them more. There are these signs that happen. I don't think we've seen any of that with Kohli. I mean, first of all, we haven't probably seen him bat long enough against quality bowling to see that. But even then, I don't think
No, we've been
there
here
are.
for 3 years. It's not a
No,
one-off
but I
thing.
don't think
But he
it's
batted
obvious
well.
signs of decline.
No, he's batted
It's
well.
not
There's no
a,
doubt. He's batted
Yeah.
really well in
That's what
some
I'm
of the
saying. There's
70s
no
that he's made
obvious
as well.
sign of decline. It's like when
But then-
Dravid was getting bowled the way that he was in Australia, you knew that something's going on. And he also admitted after that. He said that, there was a bit of change in terms of the reflexes. So I don't think Kohli has reached anywhere close to that stage.
Yeah, but the thing about all KL, Rahul, Pujara, Kohli, until they got out, they were all playing fine in this match. The one guy who didn't play well, I thought, was Surya Kumar Yadav, but he's new, so what do we know? I mean, he played a really, really, really he's trying to basically, drive Nathan Lyon on the rise without getting anywhere close to the pitch of the ball. He's giving himself no second line of defense. It was like a really, really, not. I mean, you have to defend that. You can't be flicking that to mid wicket.
Yeah, he basically he
I mean-
hit 2 fours and then he got bowled through the gate. Right, pretty much. Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
get bowled to the gate. He just played all around it. That's the problem. Yeah.
Played all around
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And the thing is, people say it's a legitimate question about like KL Rahul and Pujara and Kohli. Fine. What are the possible answers? Either you drop them or you pick them. Do whichever. What difference does it make? It's not going to change whether India are winning or losing. They won. So,
But
what? So then
Ashoka
what's
type
remaining?
of people want entertainment, no? That they want entertainment.
Yeah. So let me clarify. I am not saying Ashoka is not creative. Ashoka is, if left to his own devices, he will turn cricket into a blockbuster thing. I mean, I have absolute confidence in that. I am saying the rest of you, the two of you, you are not creative at all. You say that there is no answer to the question, and yet you keep asking it. Why?
No. I'm not. See, Kohli. I'm pretty sure. At least from what I've seen of him, I don't think he's in decline. He's been having like a, up and down patch. But I think after his one dayers, this thing and all, I think I'm still hopeful. Pujara, yeah. Pujara, we can't say anything from this match, so forget that. Rahul, yeah, I've been saying for a long time that I think he's in some sort of bother there. What did you call him?
No, but that's the problem. The thin ice is the problem.
Neck
That's
on the
when he
line
scores.
bully. Neck
But
on the
thin
line
ice is
bully.
the problem. That's when he's going to score. So when you said, unfortunately that he played only one innings. In fact, had he played 2 innings, he would have been closer to that neck on the line, and he would have scored in the next test.
No, Delhi for sure. 100. 100 is coming for Rahul. I was surprised they played Sky over Gill because especially given Gill's form. Also, Gill has played against Australia. Gill is like he has played against Cummins and all these guys. So I thought that would be a natural choice. Well, went with Sky. It'll be interesting if they continue with him or if they go with get Gill at some point. It'll be good to see, but
I think anyways, Shreyas will be fit. So if he comes back, then he's the incumbent for that spot.
Yeah. Of course, because it won't make a difference. India will still win.
No. Yeah. It's like, see, they should literally, really, I'm being serious now. They should really, really have a box with all the names of the batsmen in it and pick 5 out of them and let them play. At least then there's an equal chance of Rohit Sharma being picked and dropped, which is how it should be.
I'm absolutely staggered that people are congratulating Mahesh for Rohit Sharma getting out. This is like,
hey, come on, man! Mahesh has
ashamed
invested
to
a
admit
lot.
all the things, right? Like everybody congratulating me, and I'm absolutely unashamed to take the compliments.
No, I'm actually disappointed that Rohit Sharma has not yet thanked you for his performance and dedicated this innings to you because back in 2009, 2007 and all, when nobody in the world cared about Rohit Sharma, Mahesh was the one sitting in Wankhede and worshipping Rohit Sharma even back then. So at least for that, he should thank you, man.
Even the beginning of 81 all out, the first email exchange between me and Siddhi, talking about Rohit, and Siddhi thought Rohit's career is done, test career is done.
But I did mention in the last line that he could go the way of a Misbah ul Haq or a Mike Hussey. who could have a great career in the last. That I said that is the best case scenario, and I'm glad that is possibly going to come true now. We spoke about everybody, I think, in the Indian team except this one guy who made his debut, KS Bharat. So great that he made his debut, but and he also kept well, and he got a good stumping of Labuschagne, and I think he had an overall decent match. But one thing that was happening in the last day was he was egging on Jadeja by saying Jadeja G, dude. Like, well done, Jadeja G, and all he was saying. I'm like, oh, now this most reviled social media character who was back then went on to become Sir, which was a very ironical sort of Sir. And then he became a literal Sir because he was so great. And now he has become Jadeja G. So that is the progression.
Is bits and pieces G.
Anyway,
so the G is also, the question is it the Chennai G or the Hindi G, right?
I think the Hindi G.
G for...
No, this is Bharat. So you never know. It could be Chennai type G also.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's closer to Chennai than
yeah,
Gujarat.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so thank you for joining. Usual reminder, ko-fi.com/81allout is our crowdsourced site to support us. You can put in a regular contribution or you can put in a one-off. It'll be great. You can also review us and rate us in whatever podcasting platforms you listen to us on. It really helps people find us. 81allout.com is our website. 81allout is our Twitter handle. And, as I mentioned earlier, we have also republished some books, a couple of books, Cricket Beyond the Bazaar and War Minus the Shooting by Mike Marquesi. All the links will be on the site and on the podcast notes. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you in after the Delhi test in about a little more than a week's time. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Ashoka. Thanks, Kartikeya. And all the best for Dharamshala third test. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Who would be most disappointed about cancellation of Dharamshala test? As much as we feel the pain, I think Australia's best chance of winning is there. And if that's moved to some other venue, then they'll probably regret it the most.
Australia need to find a very, very good doctor very, very fast.
You mean to doctor the pitch?
I don't.
To doctor the pitch.
Doctor the pitch.
India have won the series. They're going to get back for two. India home. Lords goes wild.